What's that thing?
That is one of the many, many Revit files that I have. And why not start this Friday fun night with a little bit of laughing at the ridiculousness about our job? Okay. So, I had mentioned the other night about did you sign an NDA? And we went through the whole discussion that when they're in an emergency situation, when you're going into the emergency room, you don't ask your doctor for her certificate. You're like, just stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much what I've done all of my life, right? Isn't that what you've done? Similar
Yeah.
type things.
Burn out the fire. Put out the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're so worried that once they see what you can do, they're so interested that they don't even care about all the other little things. They just sort of slide on by. So what you're seeing on the screen is a good question. That's one of the many, 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 many files that I have. Okay. Lots of different files and some that
Mhm.
I've already cleaned. These were some of the less interesting ones. But to be honest with you, I think it would be worthwhile to sort of see what those people were doing, because the ones that I know that I reviewed, they were very beneficial. How did they set up the browser? How did this look? How did that look? So that you could get a better feel on how to improve your stuff. As a matter of fact, I absolutely learned stuff when I did the cleaning round of this. So I cleaned up most of the good ones. But see, what the problem is when you first start in Revit, you don't have stuff to build from. And granted, now companies have sort of collected libraries, and some people will even make the mistake of throwing it into a template. Say, don't you delete anything from my template because it's a very important template.
We need all that. We can't recover it.
And then they don't realize that it can be transferred from another file. It can be copied and pasted from another file. It does take some sophistication. But what I've been trying to preach to those guys. So, like right here in this project, we could look. You could do some very simple things. I think with the schedules, which is ironically where we're talking tonight about the views. So my thought process was I wanted to look at how they set that stuff up. I wanted to see what happened if I cleaned the file, because now I have a new cleaning tool with the Pi Revit. When we do that wipe program, it gets rid of the material. So you can actually see where the big size was in their file. Now, most of these are relatively small files, relatively simple jobs. I think if I remember this one correctly, these things were nothing but masses. But the irony of what I was going after was, you'll notice this is a military job. Okay. So someone had to sign an NDA. Though the control really isn't there. But I I don't have I don't think we should have nefarious reasons to try to get that information. I want to do a more holistic thing of saying, if we could get the good stuff out of these people's models, put it together in a library and share it with the community, you could make quicker Revit users. Because at the end of the day, what's the biggest problem you've had in your experience? What, you guys both got 15 years experience? Yeah, probably almost 18 years of experience with this software. Isn't it families? Isn't it
Yeah.
always families?
It's always trying to find the stuff that you need to connect all the stuff to. All the
You're
plumbing
flying.
fixtures.
Do you think there's a building you could model in an evening? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you have to go start searching for those families, which Autodesk has never provided to the community. And that's all I want to do. And I'll be honest, I'd like to get a couple architect friends to jump onto one of these streams invite them for a beer. Eric, are you drinking tonight or are you staying sober?
I got a spiked lemonade.
We'll drink up. To
I've
be
been-
honest with you, what we did this week, I think was admirable. We were able, because I don't know about you, but I know every night when it came around time, I really didn't want to do this thing.
But I'm glad I did it when I did it, though.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And I know some of the people that aren't here with us tonight, they feel the same way. I know Mike has said several times that he's learned little things that he had no idea.
Good.
And that's where the whole tail end of the user evolution. That's what we're here for. Now, the hope is that this online group does not have to be run quite like this. And I think Tyler hit a home run with the Discord. I really do.
Yeah.
But my hope is if they don't, what did you have to do? What did you have to do to learn Revit? I guess is my question.
What do you mean?
What did you have to do? What building did you do to learn Revit?
Well, my first, when I left Freeman White, I don't know, I'm getting a big echo. When I left Freeman White, the first thing I did was an MOB in Tennessee, and that was when we switched Peterson over to Revit, and I ran the Revit, and you came over and did training with us.
And then you did that project.
I did that project. I finished that project with renderings and stuff like that. Renderings chewed up a ton of time, but it went together pretty well. I think if I remember correctly, I had a canopy on the front that I did as an in-place model that I would definitely do differently today. That was probably one of the biggest things that ate my shorts. But yeah, it was an MOB. It was fairly simple.
And why did it crush you? What part of it crushed you? More than likely families.
That's what I'm saying. The canopy, I had to build an in-place family without really knowing, the best way to handle all those things.
Yep.
And I think if I remember correctly, the family ended up being I had the tie downs back to the building and stuff, and they were in their own family, and it probably could have all been done as one piece if I'd thought it through a little better. But like I said, for the most part, it wasn't that hard to grasp. But we had been using Sofdesk and other 3D stuff up until then, so we had a little jump on the we pushed really hard for 3D. At least I did. I wanted to get working in 3D as fast as possible.
When you say in 3D, are you talking about like that view light there, or were you thinking more like the Mac stuff we were doing at the time?
No, like just when Autodesk, it wasn't even the soft, but maybe it was Sofdesk, but there was an Autodesk started to have some good 3D
architectural desktop.
That's right. But
you had, see, that's the funny part, because you had both the luxury of knowing 3D, but the absolute shackles of learning architectural desktop, which the funny part was, architectural desktop was nothing but a copy of trying to copy what Revit was doing, and doing it miserable, because you did the Muhlenberg campus of Lehigh. Remember that?
I remember that. Good doing.
Eric, you did that for Freeman White.
Yeah.
That hospital building, the one that I was born in, that we lived 9 hours away from, but somehow we found ourselves growing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And we did it in architectural desktop, and we really, we crushed it, except for two things: the elevations.
Yep.
And the sections. Because every time you redrew, you had to regenerate your elevations, and that's the beauty part. The Revit is, if I come in here and I grab this wall, and every one of you guys are like, "Oh, don't do that, something's gonna blow up," if I was to stretch that wall, see, this is a test that showed me that they had drawn this big complex shape actually linked to the wall because it joined. My question to you is, with what I just did, is this a different building? If I go in and I take 3 floors out of this building and 2 floors out of that building, keep everything else the same, can I do that? Is that legal?
I don't know. I don't know what the laws are on that stuff.
Well, that's what one of
You
the
can
things.
do it within your own company. People do it all the time.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I believe we've worked at some companies, and let's just leave them unnamed, where they got in trouble for actually building the identical building in another location and charging that other client full price. I know I heard at least one story of a company that I contracted for.
Yeah.
But my question is, how would the law look at it? How would the law look at it if I mirrored that building and built it? Okay. Now, the joke is on anyone. If you're not careful, you're going to realize that you're going to have a lot of the same problems in construction that this building had, because it all depends how far along this building was actually done in BIM, which back then, these were probably being done for BIM coordination of all of this metal panel on these buildings. That's what they were being quoted on the building. Okay.
Yeah.
So how did the mechanical and the plumbing and all of the rest of that go? It probably turned out to be mostly a money pit, because that's what these BIM coordination models are, because they get lost in the weeds.
Correct. And they
That-
end up being utilized.
Correct. Now, I'll be honest, I really, really was hoping Mike was going to be on tonight, because Eric, could you go to the dishwasher? Oh, there's Jaffe. Oh, we have a special guest tonight. Hey, Jaff.
Howdy.
So,
Hey, Jeffy.
you got a beer? We're drinking tonight.
I'm on duty. I'm still working.
You're getting paid to goof off with us?
You know,
So, Eric, can you go to the dishwasher in Ramsey's kitchen? If I tell you that much, do you know where that thing is?
I think so. In the plumbing file?
Nope, it's going to be in the mechanical file. It's going to have grease
Okay.
stuff going to it. And you're going to find that Mike actually built the dishwasher. This is sort of funny all the way around.
It's back on that back wall, right?
You know, the one that's got the big hood at an angle?
Oh, okay. I'm there. You're not sharing my screen, though.
It's a little bit down from the back of the kitchen.
It's
a
the
little bit down
lime
from the back of
green.
the
It's
kitchen.
the little lime green bugger at the bottom of the page right now.
This one?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's Ramsey's kitchen. I forgot. I thought it was a different place.
If you would do a tab on that, I guess Jaffe might just be watching. And do an XX. Misty, I'm hoping this doesn't hurt your feelings too much, but a bunch of emails went out at the end of the day today. They're saying that's supposed to be round duct, so that you chewed vortex out because they made it a square duct. But we covered this multiple times, and I swear we have recorded copies of us going over this section. That all needs to be round ducts with pants.
Sure, that was Mike Ward's dishwasher, right?
It's a
I
little
don't think they
dishwasher.
ever told us that. They said the hoods, but that wasn't.
So what do
really
you
a
do,
hood.
Brian? Do you come down here, turn it over sooner, and then start the pants in here?
Yep, that's all it is going to be.
Oh
All
yeah.
right.
And if you wanted to do that right now,
Just use the
on
same
screen-
pants at the beside you at the other kitchen at the hood. Yeah.
Eric, do you think you can do that, or do you want Misty to talk you through how she did it? Because
Oh,
the
I
funny
think he can do it. He can
I
do
think
it.
he
It's
can
just
get
like
it.
the kitchen.
What size would you turn this into, though?
you know what I would do? You can find if you pick on the duct and you go over to the properties, there's a value that says something about the area. Hold on, it's the 10 by 10. No, you're good.
No, I needed to stretch that over. I can't reach my neck that far.
All right. Length, size, keep going down a little bit more. The area, nope.
Equivalent diameter.
There you go. So I would go with a
11 inch, but 12 inch.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly how I would go. So if you wanted to change, see, the idea is if we just do this change right here, then we could just tell Jason to watch this tomorrow at his convenience, and he would see, yep, that's exactly what I want. And we could have it done instead of having to get a meeting. I don't even think I would do that T at the bottom. What I'd do, I'd put an offset of 45 degrees for a little bit and get that pair of pants coming straight up off the top.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. That's what I said.
Okay, I'm just saying the horizontal piece, that's going to go away.
Oh, shit.
You better take a drink. Someone else is going to drive this thing. Tell you what, you tell me when you get closer to there or if you need help, all right?
Yep.
I'm going to go back to blathering. You just keep on drawing. So the gist of it is if we can go back through these files as a group and sort of talk about how they were put together, I think it would be beneficial for all of us. We could talk about, do you like scope boxes? Should this project really have been done? Would you have really put all of this in one file? Do you think they got to the point when they were doing their documents where they regretted having this whole piece up here, this angled piece, right? And all the dimensions are a pain in the butt. Don't you think it would have been better for them to make two or three Revit links, have the connector, have the building A and the building B, and it would have saved on their file size so substantially.
Yeah. And more people could have worked in it because probably when this was done, I doubt BIM 360. Well, they still had big.
This was 2019. I believe this had footprints as though it was done, which is sort of funny. It used to be done on the cloud. What did they used to call that? RAC or something like that. For years, they gave us BIM 360 for free. Then all of a sudden, now you have to pay for it, which is part of the flaw. Where that breaks down, where that model is breaking down right now is, so you've built all this data and you have all this good information, but you have to pay a ransom fee for everyone to take a peek at it. That's nonsense. That's why we have the Deluxe. That's the thing that's so incredible about the Deluxe. And I'll be back quite honest. I think Deluxe would take some advice from us. Like one of the things that I'd like to give Deluxe as an advice, they have such beautiful graphics. Why can't I make a walkthrough path so that someone who's not really experienced on the computer could actually just open it up and hit play, and it could walk to all the problem areas. It could do something to make even that simplified 3D information. Oh, here comes a couple motorcycles. That simplified information into something that everyone could use. That you know how in Twin Motion we were able to do those walk arounds, and at any time you could stop and get off the ride and look around in that area, and then you could hit play again, because that allows you to present. See what's going on right now? There's dead time on my computer because I'm talking. Okay. See, the difference is that's why I was pulling Eric off, was so that he could actually draw, because it's a little bit much for us to control our brain enough to do both the presentation and focus on what we're trying to say. So we sort of need to tag team it. Okay. That's where if we have like a second co-chair for what we're talking about during the night. The one person can just sort of fly around that model. Okay. Now my thinking is what
Can I do a 9-inch duct? Sorry.
Yeah, you can do a 9-inch duct.
Okay.
I mean, a good way to answer that would be to write yourself a schedule and see if there's any 9-inch duct in there. But there probably isn't, and it probably doesn't matter because this is that stainless steel specialized duct.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, but see, what we need to go over tonight is the views, right? And how can you explain to Tyler, who's got just a simple quick lube, what the heck the views do? Why do you even have to have the sections if you have some kind of building for them to actually apply that stuff? Which that's what my theory is I want them to try to take over a job because unfortunately, if you do BIM coordination like we're doing, it really means that you need to work with someone else's file. And that's a challenge. Okay?
Yeah.
The architects and the engineers are going to give you a file. And that file is going to be so confusing to you. Down here, you see it says, my views are by function, all views. What the heck? Now, typically, what I do, and any time when I get into a file that I've received, is I'm going to change that to all, my sheets to all, and my schedules to all. Now, this is going to be the way I normally look at it, which ironically, and I believe we said you cannot zoom in that one, but you can read that. It says floor plans, ceiling plans, 3D views, elevations, sections, detail views, drafting views, drafting views. Why does it have two different drafting views, Misty? You know, or Eric? One says detail and one says detail view.
Is that for just the view that they come up on the first screen or something?
No, but all it means is they took these guys here, right? I got to do it on my other.
No, I gotta blow this up.
They took those there and they put them in a different type drafting view. So
sorry, I was getting my drink.
You're fine. So you could make multiple type views, but if you combine those two drafting views, all of those views you're looking at there, that's actually what we're supposed to discuss tonight, right? The views. Now, when I go to views, you're going to find that there's some views I cannot make while I'm in a 3D view. Okay. If I was in that plan view, any plan view, you would find now if I go to views, I have those views that we just talked about. The 3D view, the section view, the call out view. What's special about the call out view? Does anyone know that one? When you do a call out view, it's real important whether or not this thing is a floor plan or a detail, right? Anyone ever get caught with that one?
Yes.
Can anyone tell me what the heck the detail view is for?
Is that
go ahead, Misty.
No, I just know sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I'll go and say this is a detail here, a typical one, and it matches another one. So I can do that.
Is that what you use in section and elevation?
No. This detail view is different. This detail view, his properties are different. You can't do some stuff with it. Okay. The additional floor plan, because that's what we typically want to do, is make another floor plan. It's just a blown up floor plan. It's just a floor plan of right here. Right?
Uh-huh.
See, what I'm saying is, if that's made as a detail view, when you come down here, some of these settings are a little bit different. And I believe it's the one that it says something about a parent view. You see how
the clip plane is attached to the edit clip plane. The view range is attached to, if you hit edit on view range, I think it's attached to the parent view.
That's something to that extent. I wouldn't be bold enough to tell you the absolute difference, but I just know that I don't use the detail. That was where my question came in. Do you guys use the detail? Am I missing
No.
something? Okay. Okay.
I think, like I said, I misused it in the past.
So you can see already. Let's see, there's a floor plan. This is a perfect example of what I was explaining to them last night, which is it is not a good idea to do the north wing and the south wing for the 8th scale or whatever the heck it was. That should have been dependent views, right? So then all those floor 2s could have been combined. All those floor 1s could have been combined, because think about it. That's what a dependent view is for.
No,
Right?
you lost me.
In other words, they changed the crop boundary on this, and all they did. Oh, let me see. So there's another beauty. You come down here, and eventually Tyler and Ginger and anyone else working new, you're going to say, wait a second, I wanted to do an uncrop, but I can't uncrop because it's grayed out. Well, it's grayed out because of having a template applied to it. That template looks like that. And if I change that to none, then you'll see now I can uncrop. No.
That's interesting.
How'd they do that?
That's interesting.
Look at it. Look at it. They got that sucker locked somehow.
You came and switched the crop region visible?
Look. Can you see where the crop is? I can change, but I can't turn it off. Oh, I bet that's one of these tricky buggers. No, that's your basement options, which is sort of funny because it's nasty for a company to send that out. That's actually getting there to the BIM department for construction, and they've left the options in. What are you supposed to do, Misty, when an option gets accepted? Accept the primary and delete the rest, right?
Yeah.
So
no. Just make sure things don't start deleting from your model when you do it.
But I'll be honest with you. See, I'd like to post these files so that we can all look at them. So we could have this is where it would be a drinking game where I can say, okay, first one to tell me how to unlock that wins $50. All right. And we just make a tally, and I'll be glad to pay it, because I promise you, I want to know more than anything itself how they did that. Now, typically, what I found is that's such a colossal waste of time to trying to figure out all the things that someone else did. When I come into a project and I'm going to be doing, what I really do is I expand all these guys, and then I just delete them all. Now that deletes all the 2D drawings. That deletes all the unnecessary dimensions and things like that. I still save my original file, but that's the first thing I do is wipe out all those views. I do not think these people had a strong grasp on how to organize their views. Have you ever worked on a job where there's this many views and they're all discombobulated? Granted, that's why they tried to write that filter. And if you took some time to try to learn that filter, now they didn't even do ceiling plans. Okay. So this probably was early enough in the project that those options were still there, but they should have deleted the other options, and they really should clean all that stuff up, take all of that information out, because we really shouldn't read it from the Revit file we're provided. We should really read it from the PDF contract drawings that we're provided with. Okay. Now, one of the interesting ones when we start going into the views is that 3D view, and there's two types of 3D views. And I love this 3D view. Oh, this one is the most important one to me, is the default 3D view. Okay. We're going to show you a little bit with the actual camera view. And we might even close out by showing a little walkthrough. Maybe Misty or Eric will try to take a attempt at it, and we'll see if we can't remind each other how it's actually done. But the 3D view, the thing about the 3D view is it creates an impossible view. Okay. What do I mean by that? It creates a view that's named something you're not allowed to name it. See, if I went in here and I tried to rename this by simply going like that and I hit enter, it tells you you cannot name it with that in there.
Correct.
So that's one of those wonderful, frustrating things. But what you also should know is it gives you a great springboard to start where you understand in the file. So what I mean by that is if I pick this 3D view when I come into a brand new job and I say delete, I can then come back up to the views. Oh, it is disabled uploader. So I can then come back up to the views and hit this 3D, which by all means, normally I'm going to this 3D right up here, because I always know where he's at. He's a shortcut guy. But if I go to this 3D view, you're going to notice it's going to recreate that 3D. Okay? Right down here, it recreates that view. Now, unless they have it so that new 3D views are accepting a template, which they did not. Okay? Sometimes they will. The file will force it to go to a template. It's going to pull up in a hidden line, medium detail, typical settings. Now, the reason I like to do that is now I know nothing has been hidden individually. Obviously, we would go to those tools we were using yesterday, or actually we tailed off with the visibility and the graphics, and you're going to see that all these are on, typically except for mass, and I believe the other one is parts. So parts are off too. Okay, that's why I always like to go if I'm coming into a new file. Now, the neat thing is we can do a little bit of forensics on a file. Do you know what I mean by that? Either Eric or Misty?
Forensic?
Finding how much what of each data is in there.
No, how about this? What if I asked either of you guys, how many people do you think they had on this job?
Oh, I got you.
Can you answer that question?
Yeah, you could go into the manage and look at the history.
No, watch. You also know.
The 3D view gets the people's initials.
That's right. You can tell from right out of the gate right here that there was what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now, the trick is if you can do a little bit more research, you can actually find out who's the guy who did most of the work. That's where we're going to, I think they joked at me last night. They said, what about in the collaborate? Are you skipping that over? Yeah, well, because this is real high tech stuff. But with the show history, I could find out who's really the most common person working on that job. Now, here's where my ethical question comes in. If I'm working for the mechanical contractor, is it unethical for me to do a little bit of research and find that person working at that firm so I can get the most up-to-date file, so I can understand what's going on with the file, so that I could possibly advise them of ways they could make their file better? So in other words, if I did a little bit of research and I found which one of those people was the primary person on this project, and I approached them and said, I'd like to have them on a stream, so we could cover some things they could do better and introduce them to what we're doing. Is that unethical?
In some people's eyes, I would bet, but I don't see why.
As long as that person's not offended. Some people get so offended.
Well, see, that would be the funny part. I bet the people that are doing that, I bet once they saw it, I think they would feel differently. Once you started to assist them, if you can give them true advantages. Now, what's the true advantage? Well, second step of cleanup after I delete all these unnecessary views, I go harvest all those families, which we're going to get into at some point. But when we harvest those families, when you find those bad families, and there are a lot of people at Autodesk who know this and don't talk about it. See, that's the frustrating part. Is I can buy, yeah, they could be offended, and maybe Autodesk should help them out in that way. After all, they are paying Autodesk that money. Hey, in other words, if I said I was from Autodesk and we're trying to help them because they're not totally utilizing the software in ways that they could be.
Yeah, but you can't misrepresent yourself. That's the thing.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if Autodesk actually did that.
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, imagine if you were actually getting what you were paying for, which was some assistance with the software, not a subscription that a bunch of people already paid for you to develop. Here's how I look at it. I'm not going to lie. I paid Autodesk for AutoCAD and Architectural Desktop Designer. What they swapped all the names out, and they took my money and they purchased Revit. And I'll be honest, it's a good thing they did because Revit was tearing them up. My next question would be, do you really think you need 8 people on this job? Do you see a job in front of you that you need 8 people on?
No, but you know how that works, Brian. When you're in the office, when people get slow, they throw them on to whatever's popping at the time. And that's where a lot of jobs go wrong.
Oh, yeah. I did that.
Well, that's where I'm going with it. That's what ends up happening. Because it's very hard to pick up the pieces after someone else. But I'm also telling you that if you're trying to do what Ginger and Tyler are trying to do, and you want to do this BIM coordination stuff, and frustrations, that's the benefit to the architect or the engineer. Hey, Eric, we're going to work on a new job. Okay, let me go file new, and I get to start with a new project, right? And I start with my architecture project, and you say, tell me what you want. And I want to do a design charrette where we're going to do exactly that. And you're going to tell me what building we're going to draw. And then we're going to show how that can be done and show that every one of us can draw a firehouse in one night in a very short amount of time, and how we can do that. Crack.
You want to flip to my screen real quick?
Absolutely. You going to show me that dishwasher?
I would like to know how to connect the pants into the verticals. I've tried stretching them to the.
No, first things first. No. First things first. Take that pair of pants and make it a 120. I think is what Misty was finding there worked the best.
Oh, so that was intentionally supposed to be higher. Now, is it worth redrawing these guys?
I think that'll work. Then if you set your elbow small enough to a 1D elbow.
Oh, that's probably what it was.
Probably exactly what it was. So this is all good to learn. This is how you, just that much is going to drive you nuts. What's the elbow? Preferred elbow, 1D now.
I just moved one up. Right? It takes the top one.
Yep. Go the other way with that. No, there's not quite enough room.
Yeah, I don't think there's still enough room.
Misty, what did you do when you ended up with that situation? You got any ideas? Tell Eric what to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because 45, we want it to go down, right? So 120. So take your degrees. If you want to go 30 from 120, then go down, I guess, 120, put 90 in.
So we'd actually put this at 60 or 90 makes it 90. This is the angle we're seeing. This is the 120 degrees that I'm seeing.
And
If
that's
I go
45.
90,
So that's 45. So
if I go 90, then it's that.
okay.
So you're saying
So
we need to go 80 or 70?
well, so right now they're 45 degrees. That thing is actually, when you put
No,
120 in,
not right now. His is 120. His is set for 120. You can't read that.
Yeah. I switched it to 120. I was at 90 when I started.
okay. So if that's at 45, we want it to come down to like 30 instead of 45 degree, right? A 30 degree to make it.
That's why I was saying 60 would actually
try 60. Try 60.
Yeah, that's it.
90. Okay. 60 works good.
That's all you needed.
And then if that's you know what? That guy wasn't.
It was weird, the angle that you had to plug in there to get stuff.
Do you know how hard it is to write that family?
I do 90. 90 might be. I guess you could do that one.
No, 90 didn't work the first time.
Didn't? Okay. Yeah, because it's just cutting itself. Yeah. Weird family.
It's out of plane. It's out of plane somehow.
Yeah, because I'm coming out of
Which
the
is
hood,
why
so
that wouldn't close. It wouldn't close because it was out of plane. It was trying to throw another elbow in there.
Yep.
How did I lose the plane?
I was hoping the offset at the bottom, if you use the offset of coming out of the hood, that could help you get aligned.
All right, you can go back, Brian. I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, we're not doing nothing.
We'll take the highlight off of you.
Oh, you're fine. I was just trying to. It didn't want to select that for me.
Now, so I was to the point where I was like, you know, it's really fortunate when you're working for a design company and you get to actually start with a new. But I'll be honest with you, not too many people get that opportunity. Because these jobs last so long and so many, you know, it might not have actually been 6 people worked on that job. Maybe that company went through 6 people trying to get that job to that point. Who knows?
True.
Right? But you can tell that 6 people worked on that job. Well, that's what I said. That was the
that's at least 6 people.
Right? Because the reason Eric's saying that is some people don't even ever go. They tell you, no. You don't touch the 3D button. You just tag and dimension, right? Or you just make. Eric worked for a company that said we have a department that makes families, and we had a department that actually draws, and then we have a department that annotates. See,
you have modelers, annotation, and family people. And the family people did not take much instruction from anyone else, even if they knew what they were doing.
Hey, take a drink.
Where was that at? I'm sorry, you're not allowed to say company. Sorry, you can't.
Yeah, let's not.
About what year? About what year, Eric? So
that was the last place that he worked.
That's correct.
Okay.
Ironically, Misty, it was a very high-end company. It was actually a good idea.
You know, the thing I wanted to say about that company is they hire massively. At least when I was hired, they hired 6 people. 2 never showed. The other 3 people did not have Revit knowledge. The only girl that lasted was lucky because she sat beside me. She told me that she was like 23 years old. She was the same age as Skylar when I met her. And she told me that all she knew how to do was put receptacles in places. She was moving receptacles on plans and light switches, and that's all she worked with. She was able to learn the software in about 2.5 months with me giving her the answers she needed to understand what she needed to do to become an actual modeler.
And that's for Ginger and Tyler. I hope Tyler comes back and watches this because That's very important to understand. If you can get yourself through this 3 weeks enough to be able to know where the commands are, and then that was where I was sort of starting this conversation off with, is the problem is where when you get old in the tooth, looking at a brand new project, that sort of gives you interest, you know? It's sort of fun to start from there. But when you're brand new and all you have is this, good luck to you. You're never going to figure it out. So that's where my idea came up with. I started by asking you, Eric, what did you have to do to actually learn BIM? And you said you had worked on a project, plus you said you had the previous experience from the other software. And
Well,
I know
and then I had a good team. I had a good team that we were interested in learning it.
all right, Misty, where did you learn Revit?
Um,
Didn't you do that at that convenience store place?
I remember doing a jail that had tons of levels that I kept moving their levels because everything was so smart.
That was okay. That was exactly what right. You're exactly right. What happened was you went to work for that electrical company, that AME.
No, this is just one through you got through Cadco.
Well,
It
no,
was
that
extra.
that was actually through him.
Oh, okay.
That was
Was it?
you're right. That was through my company, but that was through him. And because you had done that amount of work on that jailhouse, which whooped your butt, is basically what you were saying. Then you got a job offer there and they hired you because that was when they were trying to switch over to Revit. Because I had been training those people for some time. I had been working with Chris Carrera and the rest of that group. There's another person I'd like to invite to one of these streams. Okay?
Your
Because
pants are in.
the pants are in. Should we look at it? Is that what
You
you
can.
want?
I got them back to 90 degrees with the change in the elbow fitting and getting it lined up. It went right in. Sorry, I hit save.
All right. Well, now I want you to go to, if I said the back of house kitchen, you go to the back of house kitchen. Do you know where that's at? Far north of the building, about in the middle. Yep. Okay. Calm down for a second.
No, it was refreshing. It was jumping on me too.
All right, pan north just a little bit.
It's the pan that gets me.
Yep, that's fine. That's enough panning. All right. What you're gonna find, the farther is, if I told you, okay, I thought we fixed this.
Oh, you know what, dude? You just told me to open the mechanical, and I didn't download the latest today.
The latest.
Son of a bitch. Mike was working in this today, wasn't he?
No, he was working in it the other day, but you do not want to lose Mike's work because he gets very angry if you lose his work. So what I would do is just copy and paste that little button.
Everyone gets mad.
I believe it.
Oh, he didn't put a 1 after it.
No, I renamed it already. I already renamed it.
Damn it. My bad. That was my bad. I know better than that.
That's all right. You know what? You got to pay for the price.
Save as a drink.
Take a drink.
Save as.
Now we go to the screen and let's see what she's fucking up so we can make her take a drink.
No, I'm not looking at my screen.
Oh, we want to look at your screen. What you got? What you looking at?
I'm working on incredible point cloud.
You see that thing in the middle of my screen? That's what I was telling you about. I'm saving now, and that thing is going to stay there for however long.
I know. That's more of Revit, right? Revit.
Yep.
As much as you hate it, don't you love it?
Right.
I mean, let's talk about Architectural Desktop again. That software was terrible.
What's that?
Architectural Desktop was terrible.
Yeah, not SketchUp. Sofdesk was brutal.
Oh,
Sofdesk,
so good I didn't see that.
The retirement thing that we did in Sofdesk.
All right, the way you feel about those things. Would you feel that way between Revit 2020 and Revit 2025?
No.
I mean, in other words, if you were in Revit 2025, would you really be able to remember the pain and suffering as much as you remember it being to Sofdesk or to Architectural Desktop? Have they had
No.
that kind of substantial growth in it?
The only time I can tell you that it was hard to do an update in Revit was somewhere between 17 and 20 when they did the text formatting change where all the text blew up. And if you took a project, you were done.
Oh, buddy, I'm glad you brought that one up. Everybody take a drink to the fact that, let's be honest, because that's the difference between this group and any other Revit group out there. Okay? Because we are not owned by Autodesk and never will be, we can be honest. It was because when you printed 330 seconds text, you did not get 330 seconds text. They had blown the numbers in their calculations, and that's
How?
why.
Why? Was it because of true type fonts or something like that?
Exactly. And what happened was the Army Corps of Engineers were sticklers about having 1/8-inch text, and it was slightly under 1/8-inch text. And it was actually a big explosion that they just spackled over. And all of your old files, when you would open them up, all the text would go wonky on you. There was a couple workarounds for it, but still, it wasn't like the difference. I mean, Sofdesk, Architectural Desktop was like, wow, these walls aren't 30 different pieces. But when you went to Revit and you could put the hatches and the rest of the stuff on there, why haven't we gotten a substantial upgrade since then? Because here's the funny part. If we look at the chronology, Sofdesk was in about 1996, maybe it came out in 94 and went to about 1998. And that's when Architectural Desktop came out. 6 years later, they purchased Revit, which was such a substantial increase.
Yeah.
And now for 20 years, we're working on what?
Well, I mean, think about it. What did they give us? What were the biggest changes? The biggest changes were the ribbon, which had nothing to do with the drafting itself or the drawing itself or the modeling itself.
Well, and we've all been in discussion groups, and we all know the things people beg for. Please do something with sites. Please do. There were so many things we've been begging for and just never quite got. We got the railings, and then we got that the railings could host to slabs, and a couple little things here and a couple little things there. But they definitely have not been. If there is any way they were close to doing their job, it was when they came up with the idea of Dynamo, right?
Yeah.
The problem is the Dynamo was a little bit like the rendering inside of Revit that we said we don't even do.
Well, the Dynamo is actually. I'm gonna have to take this. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to step off.
No, if you're good, I'll mute you. All right. So what I was saying, Misty, is the renderings. We're going to use another software to render. Well, the same thing could be said true for all of the non-Revit things, because what Autodesk has put together, it really doesn't work. The Autodesk Cloud, I want to get into some discussions how it doesn't work. And I want to show this software that we're using called Deluxe. And I think you'll be blown away by what it could be, what it does. Now, all I need Ginger and Tyler to learn how to do is this little bit of Revit, how to push this thing into a render, and how to push this thing into something like Navisworks, but so much better. Because if they can do that, they can do BIM coordination. Now we're going to have to talk about other kinds of strategies. Oh, I forgot to hit my screen is on. So that's my thinking of how we're going to sort of go back through the views is, let's see, that was it, is to give Tyler and Ginger and whoever else wants to train access to some files so they can practice cutting sections and they can see the reason. Because if you just show a person a section, it is nice. One of the things I was going to tell when because these names are so weird, like this is the actual stair. So then what you'd see is you'd come down to the floor plans and they've got this one that's called call outs, which probably is where all the call outs are from. Nope. That's a call out from that view. That means someone did a loop around that view. This is what you need to have in order to really use these views. See, these are going to then show you there's a section. Okay. So you can see what someone else has done for a section. We can actually take a look at it and see how it looks. And let me tell you what, that's beyond sophomoric. That is just the first round of how you cut a section. So what you guys would need to learn is how can we detail that and make that look like a real section. Now, since you're going mechanical, there's not a real big need to teach you how to do sections because mechanical generally doesn't do sections.
Well, you know what, Brian? Things are
No.
changing for mechanical. They're
You're right.
starting. I'm starting to do sections that almost look 3D because they look so good in section.
Well, they
Because of all
probably
that Revit makes them.
they probably should be 3D.
Yeah, but they just look so good. Yeah, so even in
Yeah.
section. So.
Well, but what I'm saying though is I don't want to sidetrack them with all those detail components because when we get into mechanical, detail components and all of that stuff aren't real important. Don't get me wrong. I would like to show you how to make these materials look more correct, how to make the floors and the heads of the ceilings and the windows, because that's really all that's wrong with the sections. Now,
Yeah, everything looks great. That's what I was talking about. Because you can make the section look really good without the text and the tagging is what you definitely need. But the Revit makes them look so good in section. So.
yes. Well, we'll see if you've built your model correctly. So if we draw this section, what you're going to see is just like that, it has made that section. Now, one of the things it's done is it's gone all the way to the end of the building. Now, if I was to go down here and go to that section like that, I could go to that view. And now it's drawn essentially the same thing we were looking at. The scale's just a little bit off. Generally, a section like that would be at 3/4 inch scale. And then this is where I'm telling you, you just need a little more detail. Plus, you probably put this in define mode, and that would be your section. The problem is a lot of people don't see that section. Okay. In other words, I think, how did Ginger say it the other day? Oh man, she said it so good. They were talking, or one of them said something about the field would never understand what the equal dimension was.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So what I'm going to look at is that section is this section 61. So first of all, they should have named their sections a little bit better, and we'll get into that. But what I want to do is I want to rename that section to -- wall section. And the reason I do that is you're going to find that naming of the views can be very important because that's where it sorts that name to. But more importantly, why I put the -- in there is if I took this, oh, I didn't have it. If I open up a 3D view, right, and I was then to go right click on the cube and say orient to view, that section, the one I just made with all the dashes, would be at the top of the list. So it is very important to learn how to name those things so they fall in a logical order so your browser is better organized. But I just wanted to show you another reason I rename and see what this is now going to do. Is this going to zoom in? I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to say hide in view category of them scope boxes. And what you're going to see is this was actually that section of the building. Okay. So I can see that this building's not real developed. It doesn't have the foundation. It doesn't have the floor slab. It doesn't have any mechanical. You would see I could take this box and I could stretch this. But the idea is for architectural people, when I started putting that 3D section right next to the wall section and you tag and dimension it and put the important information, people love it. And it's not that difficult to do. And that's what I'm going to teach you guys to do, is to make the little bit better view. But what we just did was we just got through the section or the 3D view and the section view. Now, this particular model, let's see, does it even have a lobby? No, no real lobby. We have
You
a
know how
little-
you were talking about sections should be 3D.
yeah.
That was one of the things on Nephron that they really like to utilize on site. Was we would do a 3D section at the chases, the shafts.
Yep.
So that they could see exactly how all those things were intertwined.
I would think at a minimum. I think if you went and looked at all of Misty's SK drawings for all those kitchen hoods, she had all that stuff in 3D. I think
Yeah.
I think that the funniest part is some people tell somebody don't hit the 3D button, and they actually listen to them. All right, so that got us through the 3D view and the section, and the call out. We sort of touched on, that's just where you just put a loop around an area. You want to do an enlarged area. Now, I've seen those used for, and by all means, an interesting thing is in this one here. And that is, if I was going to try to do that detail, it would actually be very awkward for me to work at that angle. Now, there's a whole lot of architects that would flat out shoot you, because if you change the orientation of that view, then you're changing the north direction and you would need to track the north direction. But all I'm going to try to show you is so you'd say, I don't put this on a sheet because it would confuse people. But for me to actually do the work, to simply come in here, and if I remember correctly, first you go in that direction and then you come down there. Nope, I did it wrong. So it's the opposite way around. So if I hit that rotate again, and I come in here and I grab this end point, it's where horizontal is and where you'd like to be horizontal. And then it would rotate that around. So that now as I'm doing this layout for this glass, I can make a little bit more sense. Are these indeed? Yep, right there's the center line. Can I move it? We'll see that they didn't even have that unlocked. So they could actually move those. You could see that they don't quite understand how a curtain wall door works, right? They have a little bit of an idea, but this should not look like this. Okay, that's one of the reasons I like to go over. I love doing this BIM coordination, because I love looking at what other people did, because it can teach you so much. Okay, so understand, one of the big things that I want Tyler to do is I want to make all these files available to them. But for now, I was in the very beginning, I was talking about what it took to actually get you to do a Revit. And I was thinking about my college that I got an associate's degree. Now, this was in drafting, which was a totally different, much easier creature. But we had two projects to do. We had a house and we had a thing called Stillwater. And Stillwater was a water treatment plant. And you see, their theory was, by you doing those projects, if you got a high grade in the Stillwater job, which that teacher was a real jerk, and it was, I mean, you're talking about, we had to draw all those pipes, all those fittings, all those valves, and all of that stuff with a pencil and a straight edge and a ruler. Okay. So it was worse than drawing in Revit. But don't kid yourself. In the 20 years that we've been doing this, Revit should have made plumbing work much better. We actually had this discussion offline earlier. Most of the last 5 years you're going to find really came into, I think Eric was telling me they now have another one after steel. I think it was precast, something like that.
Yes, 25 introduced a precast tab.
Well, it doesn't take much to go back and to look at the release notes of what the releases were for the last 5 years, and you're quickly going to see most of the emphasis was on structure. I'm asking, does anyone want to bet me I know why? I'll bet my last sip of beer, and then I got to go away, and someone else is going to have to talk so I can get a beer. I'll tell you one word why they worked on structure so hard for the last 5 years. Tekla.
Try and get them into the Revit software, so they're not using the secondary software. They get more structural users to buy the software.
Tekla was whooping their tail. People were saying, I can't do my structures in your software because I can't detail the rebar and I can't do this. So they have been playing catch up with Tekla. And the sad part is the mechanical people have been almost completely ignored. Misty, do you need a beer? Keep the stream alive. Don't let them die.
Sure.
Oh, Eric.
Yeah.
Eric, switch back to you. Remember we were going to that back one?
Yep. I'm opening a second file at the moment, so it's got me looped up. But you can switch to me, and I'll go to that in 1 second. I was getting ready to copy the other one.
Area, and maybe Misty can tell you because I think she was in on the meeting. They want to move that one duct. When I want to make that change with you, there you go. You're actually there. I'm going to get the beer. Misty, you need one?
I'm sure.
All right.
Back up here. I forget how big this building is.
Yeah, it's gigantic. I can't wait to go visit there. Hopefully we can all get to go and have fun.
Do you know which duct he was referring to?
No. Oh, you know what? Because we were, no. Let's just wait for him.
That's
I'll
fine. That's fine.
go somewhere, I don't know. It could be
Was
something.
Jaffe still on with us or no?
I don't know.
Oh, Ginger was on.
Oh, was she? Cool.
Or she is on.
Oh, hey, Ginger.
Hey.
You having a good night?
It's all right. Pretty tired.
Yeah, let's see here.
Long day.
Yeah, long week, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm enjoying this one.
Thank you.
Oh, so much duct. Yeah, I have no idea what she was referring to. I thought he was talking about these, but
You should see that duct in person.
yeah. I spent about a year and a half on I spent 4 days a week on the job site at Nephron down in Columbia, South Carolina. So
I've heard a lot about that one.
it was fun. Actually, I was curious. Did they ever add on to that, or did they just leave it where it was?
I have no idea.
I'll have to ask Mike. That was my first mechanical plumbing job. I was always architectural up until that job.
Did you ever go back to architecture?
I had one job. The job in California, I did all the disciplines. I did architectural, mechanical, plumbing, and electrical. I was hired to do the electrical, but the architectural guy was very lazy, and the mechanical plumbing guy, though the mechanical guy quit right after I was hired, and the plumbing guy, he was drawing all of his pipes in with lines. He was using Revit, but he was drawing everything with lines.
With 3D lines?
Nope, just regular lines, just detail lines. So you couldn't get any information from it. So that, but other than that, I've pretty, and then I went electrical for a few years before I now join you guys up again.
Yeah.
So the only thing I really spent time in was structural and civil.
I wish I did more structure. No, everyone wants a structure person. It seems like
Oh,
they're
I don't
always
know. The first time Eric did electrical, he got his tail whooped.
You mean on a your BIM job or something?
I forget who we did that for. Yep.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but that was before I worked with electrical.
That's exactly right. Once you work with it, once you get a little bit unafraid of it, now the structural, it can be done. And it's not hard to take a Tekla model and turn it into Revit. Is there any reason that you can think of why you would turn a Tekla model into Revit? Because I know the discipline's always told me, whoever I was working for, no, don't do that. That's a waste of time. One of the biggest reasons you do that is because you can actually put the spray on fireproofing, which everyone always forgets about when they're doing coordination. And we have definitely forgot about it in this job. But if you would look in there, the green duct that's going over the orange duct, the fan is actually sitting over top of the orange duct. You see the brown duct. No, not that one. I'm sorry.
This one?
Yep, that one. Yep. Zoom into that. All right. What we want to do is we want to get rid of all those elbows and move that fan to the west. So it's right over top of those center lines. You know what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that in the field, you see how Misty took that through that piece of framing?
Yeah, I heard this conversation now. I know what you're talking about. They're pushing it all the way over there because this framing is not there. So they're going to just try and have them drop it here.
Yep, and I would drop it right into that box where Misty had it drawn. That was probably in the center of the two.
So actually drag that up to that.
Yep, that's exactly right. Go to a view and dimension, and ironically, you can do it in that three. You know that you can do it in that 3D view, right?
In plan view, you mean? In top view?
And if you go to a pure top view, as soon as you go to a pure top view, the dimension command works.
No, I know that.
Yep.
I just still don't. I'm not as good at that as you are yet. Is that it right there?
Yep. Yep. From there to there. Yep. Now you pick that duct, make that say 0, and it should push it all over.
Now, do you want me to drag this over here? Oop, not there.
No. Yeah, whatever you went to for 0, I don't know what you dimensioned to make it 0 out, but I would go to the center of that blue box. That
I thought I actually hit the center.
Oh, you went to the center of where they come up out now.
Yep, I see that. That's why I wanted to do it in plan view. Let me just do it in plan view.
You zoom in, but this you can't do in plan view, dude. You got to go back to that 3D view.
Why can't I get my center lines and my stuff in here?
Yeah, but see, I don't know that I like that, Eric. Maybe it's because she had to keep it away from the wall. I want to know that there's an actual circle down there. There's a short duct at the bottom. And I don't know if it's just a transition straight into a T.
There we go.
Now orbit that around so I can see that at like a little bit of an angle. I want to see what's below her T. Yeah, she does have a piece of pup piece. So all you're going to do is connect into those pup pieces, get rid of those T's and the rest of that nonsense. Hopefully it doesn't hit that 45 that you drew in that other object. That'll be an iffy one. Will that one go? I love your background music.
I was gonna laugh.
My
I was
dryer?
thinking, I think maybe we should just have some background music.
Let's
You
go
mean my
dance
dryer?
there.
Would it get us
Get
staying?
the
That
dryer
looks like,
done.
that looks like that'll fit.
Get some of mine done.
What about a fillet? Can you do a fillet on those guys?
Woof. Something looks off there.
Uh-huh. It sure does.
Now, is that connected, or do I need to actually connect it?
That is not connected, but we can live with it.
Ah, it is not. I was not perfectly straight. I'm still. Something's wrong with this. You can see that it's elliptical.
Yep, it's not an angle. It's not in correctly. And that's where I'm saying that I think what I would do. Okay. It's saying a different type, right? Is all it said.
It was removing a dimension.
Gotcha. Yep, it looks like what that needs to do.
Now, how can I add that into there?
You want to put that in the one that you just say create selected, add selected?
That's what I thought, but it wouldn't let me do it in the straight view.
No. Uh-oh, I hear him.
Hear
Who?
who?
Oh, a surprise for you.
Oh. Prize for who?
You.
Me.
What is the steel?
Internet.
Did you turn the steel off? Why do we not see any steel up at the top?
Let me go outside or something, Brian?
No, we're fine.
No, there's steel.
All right. The pair of pants isn't going to get into it. Stretch your little box a little bit extra just to make sure.
Not even close.
But the other
Which
side,
way?
about the other side, I'm worried about. That's the side. Oh, you're good.
What's this guy right here? Communication device, huh?
I'm going to say a speaker.
Something tells me they're not installing it there.
You get to pay the price when you select an object through a Revit link.
Yes, you do pay a price.
All right, man. Hit save on that because that's what would. If Jason would have jumped on tonight, we could have covered that with him and did it that quickly. Now we can do it even more quickly. He said he wanted to try to look at it this weekend. So I'll tell him we can look at it on Sunday if he jumps on at any time.
All right.
All right. So if I go back to mine. So we got to the call out. The next one is the floor plan. And the interesting thing about the floor plan is that's going to create the exact same kind of view as the call out, but without that call out reference. However, underneath it, you've got floor plan. You've got reflected ceiling plan, which is very important. This is the same cut plane and is mirrored and looking up. Okay, that's why it's called a reflected ceiling plan. There's a structural plan, which just puts it in a structural category, which you'll notice I'm in a plan view right now. I can do that exact same thing by going to my properties and putting it in a structural. Now, I wonder why there's no mechanical floor plan. Just a little big, right? They didn't give us why don't they give you a plumbing plan? See, because when we get into those plans, we're going to realize what I think the hardest view to draw is a sanitary floor plan. because what people actually want to see is the sanitary of the floor below and the vent system of the floor above. And if it's a multi-story building, Revit just does a terrible job at it. And we might try a couple different techniques to see if we can solve that problem. Who knows? Maybe some of that could go viral.
Is that why we have an underground level?
That's why we have an underground level, so there's no confusion.
Yeah, those are very difficult to decipher.
Now, a plan region is pretty interesting. That allows us to, you got to understand one of the things about a floor plan, and that's why you can't just go through the buttons, is the floor plan has this view range in it. Okay. And the reflected ceiling plan has one very similar, but it's going in the opposite direction. And to be quite honest with you, most people really struggle with this. We're going to try to give you some visuals so that you understand what it's actually doing, because it does do some confusing things. Okay. But that plan region, if there's ever a time that you need a certain part of your building, a different cut plane than the rest of your building. Sometimes this is when you have real high windows, they don't show up because you're not cutting the windows, and people struggle with how can I get those the clear story windows. Usually that's done with a plan region. Okay. That's where I can change the cut plane for just a small area. And then the area plan's a little bit of a weird creature. And I think maybe we'll just have a little session on areas and how areas work, because the area is essentially like a group of rooms. But you really need to have a building that has a group of rooms. That's not going to be a house. It's not going to be a data center. It's going to be something more like a hospital or a residential, multifamily residential large building. So the area plan we do want to get to, but that's not what I want to touch early on. The elevations, okay. This is one that I think is sort of cool. Notice we rotated that crop boundary, but quite often I will remove the cropping. It's going to leave the boundary, but then I can see the rest of the project. Okay. Now, the reason I say that I was doing that was I was going to go see and look, do they have elevations? And we don't see the elevations there. If I scroll down, I thought there were some elevations. Wall sections. Right there's the elevations. So they must have them turned off somehow, probably by the scale. But and so that means that if I went in here and I tried to do an elevation, oh, it did put it in. These people definitely, you see the mistake they made, anybody? They didn't want to accept Revit's families, so they made some weird families. See, because that family should really allow you to turn on the other view.
If you zoom out, it looks like there's a box out there for the original elevations. Oh, no, it's something else. Never mind.
It's something else. Yeah, it's something else. So when you place the elevation, you can see they've got building elevations, and that's all they've got is building elevations. And those are really not, there's a flaw to that building elevation. An architect told them they wanted it that way. If we went to the new project, actually, I'll just do it. Finish this thing up. So if I went new project, went to an architectural, somebody wanted them not to have these goofy dog houses. And I don't blame you, but you see, when you pick these goofy dog houses, you'll see that then you can turn on another view, and that just created that additional elevation. Okay. And they've lost functionality by how they put in their elevation. But what we should actually see is we should be able to double click and go to that elevation. And you would see that we've now elevated that. That area is really only a 2-story area where I cut it. So you see what happens is with every one of these views, including 3D views, we have the ability to have this crop boundary. So when you would be doing this elevation, you would probably crop this to just about that height. That's how the actual drawing would be made for that area. Okay. And I might also have that thing cut real far. No, I said it to be about a 10-foot deep cut. Yeah. So, sections. Nope. Call outs, plans, elevations we just covered. Drafting views. How would you describe a drafting view, Misty or Eric? This is a 100% 2D space.
Yeah, it's just detail information.
What you're going to find is,
And what I do with detail with the drafting views is I almost always just bring in a detail and just literally just trace it in the drafting view.
yeah, well, and to be honest with you, I want to eventually talk about the fact that I don't even think you should trace it over. I got to the point where the last two jobs I was doing for designers, I put the detail in there and I just use a masking region and white out things and draw what I want right on top of it. And when it was printed, it looked pretty doggone good. Most architects are going to fight and resist that. But that is a good way to get a lot of work done. But because it's a 2D view, what ends up happening is if I go to the architecture tab, you'll notice everything is grayed out. I can't do any of those. I can for some reason I might be able to do a model group. I'm a little bit curious how that works. And somehow I can do these couple things. I don't really think that would end up working too good. But the only thing you can really do is all the 2D stuff that we talked about on last night. Okay. So this is where you could go in here. You can draw a line. Oh, these people didn't understand a lot about Revit. You could draw a region. Oh, and it's just a high scale. Why would that be masonry? Oh, the sand works, but the masonry don't. Interesting. Yeah, I think these people.
Masonry's probably an elevation. Masonry's probably brick lines in elevation or block lines in elevation.
I don't know.
Well, no, because you're in plan. You're in detail, so it should show up.
Yeah. Well, and I'm seeing some weird color on that one. I just think, see, there's a dense sand. I think that they might have had some problems. What about the steel? The steel works. I think they probably used some kind of hatch pattern. Like I said, I'm curious. I don't think there was a whole lot of experience on that list of 8 people. Now, granted, it's been 5 years. Okay. So those people now have probably progressed. But I honestly believe by us having these kinds of sessions, we can all help a group of people progress even faster. Okay. So we were going over the views because I wanted to get through the middle part of the views. That was the drafting view. The duplicate view, that's one I always forget about. And I always think that I have to go over here and find out which view I'm in, because let's say this is the one I want to duplicate, and I always right click and duplicate the view. Now, if I duplicate a drafting view without the detailing, it's just going to be an empty view. If I duplicate it with the detailing, I'm going to get that same kind of stuff, so I could draw 2 different details. Just basically saying, now you could also come up here, and I always forget this, and you could say duplicate that view with the detailing, and that did the exact same thing.
Is that going to duplicate the view that you're in currently?
That is correct.
Okay.
See, so you should be saying, I could actually use that, Brian. I wish I would have known that before.
Yeah, I've always done the right click on the properties box browser.
And see, and I knew it was somewhere, but I just never really went to it But that's what the duplicate view does. Legends. And I think they have two legends. They have a keynote legend. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't like keynotes. We'll eventually get to them, but the legend, the interesting thing about the legend is one, it's just like a drafting view, okay? Except, anyone answer what my except is? What's the difference between a legend and a drafting view?
A
A legend can be
legend,
put in multiple sheets.
yeah.
A legend can be put in multiple sheets. Do you know anything else that's different between a legend and a detail view or a drafting view? Both of you drink.
I just did.
I think you can bring in some detail components that are 2D in a legend.
You're so close. You're so close.
Is it the color schemes?
No. You go back to annotate, and you go to hold on, it's going to take me a second to find it right here. Component. You can do a legend component.
Oh, okay.
You know what that is?
That's what I was talking about, legend component. Like that.
Uh-huh.
A
That
detail
is
one.
a plan
Detail
view.
graphic.
The side view of one of your curtain panel. See, you get the choice. You get the choice in a plan legend. So like a lot of times people go and make a wall schedule. So if they have this kind of wall right here, they can put that wall in.
Sorry, because I mean to burp. Sorry.
They can get it to a scale. They can say, I want to see that thing in plan, or maybe they want to see it in section. And then you can tell it how long you want that thing to be, maybe 6 feet. See, now they could do typical wall schedule. It has a fair amount of limitations. You could also, in those legends.
Where does that information pull from? Do you have to build that into the families /
Well,
element?
you know the walls, no, because the walls are system families. But if
Mhm.
you're doing a window, okay, see that window? That is what is made in plan view of the window family that they've made. If I wanted to do the front view, it would look like that. And if I wanted to do the back view, it would look like that.
And just a devil's advocate thing, if that window family has multiple sizes in it, it will then let you pick the sizes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before you get real excited about it, it always just sort of sucked.
I've tried to utilize them in multiple occasions, and I've had very little luck.
The neat part is you could come in and you could tag it. Well,
It'll just give you the type tag or the mark tag or something like that.
right. And that's where I say it sort of stinks. But by all means, you could very easily come in here and you could put some more detail components, right? You could put the detail components on this, detail it out. You could put text on it. You could do some stuff. But at the end of the day, they're not real great. But it's important to know if you need a drafting view like the typical notes or something like that, and you want to put it on multiple sheets, the difference is instead of being a drafting view, he is a, what did we say he was? He was a legend view. Yep, a legend. Okay. So that really gets us to the schedule, which I think the schedules I want to cover alone, and I want you to have a file that's got some information so we can actually have one of the new people driving. So we're going to save that for Sunday. And I'll be honest, we'll just do the sheets and the revisions on Sunday. There was the view reference that we talked about. I think we talked about that the other day when we were doing annotation families, and that's where he comes in. And then there's a little bit of window control out here that allows you to tab the views, tile the views, tab them, close all but the open, tile them. Great. I guess you can also switch between them here. I don't think I've ever done that. Do they have that same thing up top? Yeah, they sure do. Right there, you could pick between the views. I haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah, I generally do a tab or control tab or whatever.
So the gist of it is we've really covered. Oh, I need to be in one of my plan views. We've really covered all but the schedule and the scope box and the sheet. Okay. And we'll do those the rest of those as a refresher. I guess the next time I email you, I'll send you guys a link to a couple of test files. And that way, Ginger, you could even open it up because you're not going to be saving the information, but at least you could be playing and clicking on something. You can at least see how a drawing's set up. I know you can't save it. Did you get that resolved yet? I don't know if she's even on. Ginger?
I haven't really checked it. I'm still in my trial.
You're still on your trial. I sort of figured that they were going to take their time and play their game.
Yeah, she said she had to put in a service ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you what. If we wanted to get it started tonight, we could get it started tonight, and it ain't that much of an effort. Don't let someone else keep you from doing this BIM if you want to do it. Okay? I told you we're going to work together. You just hang in there. You just hang in there. It's going to get real interesting real quick. So that's most of the view. And with that, that really gets us most of the way there. We've given you a really good exposure to what's in Revit. Okay. We're going to probably need next week to pick up some of the more advanced ones, some of the ones Tyler wanted to rub in that he was seeing that we didn't cover. But more importantly, we're going to learn how to use this browser and this properties a lot more. Okay. And we're going to hold off on the families until the following week. And then you should be ready to actually do some work. Eric, if you would open your you actually got it. Would you,
want the mechanical or plumbing?
Mechanical.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a little tipsy.
So am I. Anybody else tipsy? I got a nice buzz.
Ryan?
We just crossed over. What I wanted to do was I wanted to show you the next step, and who knows, maybe we'll just get Tyler was chomping at the bit to actually try this. If you scroll down in the sheets, could you go find the field version? It's going to be 4. Yep, it's in the 400s. Yep, you see where it says supply and return service level? Get down to kitchen exhaust or exhaust for casino level. So go past supply and return. There you go. Exhaust and outside air. Yep. You can see you can see the two that Mike has been in. Go to one of those. Next one. Yep, that's it.
That's funny. I already clicked on it when you said, "Yep, that's it." I guess there's a hesitation in there.
All right. So he put a rev cloud on them, and he tagged and dimensioned them. And you just.
But he didn't number the rev tag, right?
I don't see a number on the rev tag.
Rev 13 bootleg kitchen.
Yes, what it's called right now. We're going to end up renaming that, like I said.
Yep.
But do you see the duct that you just did the movement on?
Yep.
You might want to check to make sure none of those tags tore up too much. And what you're trying to do is lock down those all the tags and dimensions for those exhausts anywhere around those kitchens. You have to see how that pulled that on top of the other one. That's exactly right. And see, that's where I'm saying that if you don't get to this would be a good one to hand off to Tyler to allow him to tag and dimension and try to tie that objects down. Now, I will tell you there should be a slope arrow on that one where you got those pair of pants where they're going down vertically. You want to tell them that. And the other duct that you picked on. Yep.
Yeah.
Misty came up with a really neat idea, and that is give that a little bit of transparency. Just a little bit of object override.
Just that one?
Just that one. Yep. And then she likes to give it a little bit of transparency, and then what happens is you can see what's going down below there.
20, 40?
Try it. I think you find that even if you do one, it shows.
Yeah, any of them work.
And if you wanted to do the elbow too, you could do the
Yeah,
elbow.
yeah, do the elbow too, because it looks weird.
Well, good. I'm glad. That's why it's beneficial to all be looking at it.
Oh,
That's it.
I like it.
See, now you can actually tag those two other ones to say that they're sloped and what their size is. Because if you notice, one is one size and one is another size.
wait.
The one that goes up is bigger than the one that goes down. Go right to them. There you go. That's it. And you want to change that slope to an angular one. Right?
Just the
Well,
angular
Ginger,
one.
we're going to call it a night. I appreciate everyone getting on. I like that one there is not going to probably be the one on the bottom. You got a little bit of an angle out on it. You see that angle in the line?
Yeah, I see it.
You got a
It's
little
not
bit.
a real angle. It's not a real angle though.
I think it's a bust in the graphics, Brian, because it's only at certain distances.
All right. We'll pick that guy and let's make him the right units. You have one that says angle. Nope. Go above it. Angle. Nope. So duplicate it. Edit type. Duplicate. Say angle. Okay, go down to the units. Yep. Nope, that's the alternate. Yep, that one. Change that to be angle. Decimal degrees.
Decimal degree.
Yep, and probably no rounding.
No rounding?
Zero. It's probably going to be a 0. It should come out as probably a 30 or a 45 or something like that. Try
Okay.
3 places, but you'll see it should actually round. 30 degrees.
Oh, that's better. 30,
and you,
really?
And you can put the degree symbol on that right there in that little units box.
That's nice.
We can't add that as a suffix.
No, you add it to edit type. Right there. Now down, scroll down. The units. And then it says, yep, you got it. And that's where I put the diameter of a pipe or the diameter of a duct, because that's the best way to put it in. So in other words, you see the 28-inch diameter in that symbol? That's where that's coming in from.
This one?
That's coming in from the tag. Yep.
Yeah. There's 2 tags there, I just realized.
That doesn't surprise me. And neither one of them should have only one of them should have the height, the overall one, which really shouldn't be referencing the floor plan because it's on the roof, but that doesn't matter. You can leave it. But the ones below you need to tag as well, the angle one. Mm-hmm. It also looks like he didn't get the 45-degree angle on the one going to the hit your space bar.
But we don't want the arrowhead on these?
I wouldn't. I would put that one in and then make sure you got a tag that does no bottom of duct.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Now, how do we differentiate? I know that generally the text towards this side is the higher pipe. But does that work for you?
Well,
That
remember,
looks good. That
you're
looks
not going to
good.
be saying those ones. We want with no elevations.
Oh, I got you.
That's just going to say the size of it. And the person should be able to see, I know which one's the 28 one, and I know which one's the other one.
Gotcha.
I've got my angles.
That looks nice and clean. That looks good.
Well, if you want to get the rest of them, and it's going to be the orange, the dark orange, and the green, and the light green. There's going to be light green and dark green.
I don't see light green up here. Or you just meaning the whole model?
No, and ironically, you don't see light green, but you probably should, because the one going to the dishwasher, which is the one I thought at the bottom, no, but I think he was wrong on this. I don't think that's where the dishwasher is.
I don't see a dishwasher. I see three hoods.
A little bit lower. A little bit lower. There's another hood. Just really little. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not on your screen because it's not. It's another fan that was. They were moving the fan way back to closer to where it was going to be.
What's going to be what the gist is? They're not doing the dishes in that kitchen. They've got a separate dishwashing area for that kitchen. Pan down. You're going to need to pan down some. You'll get it somewhere in there.
Right there. There's a green right there.
This shouldn't be dark green.
I don't know.
No, but the one above him, that's the one I think is supposed to be light green, and he's probably going to want to change to round. Give me that fan number. Click on the fan. What's
15?
the mark? What's the mark on him? Scroll down so I can see the mark too, just to verify.
17. Oh no.
15.
Yeah, 17. Tag name is 15. Mark name is 17. The system name is 17.
Interesting.
I never messed with that one. Mike is the one who did that one. That was the one that I thought he fixed that.
No one did that one. I bet you any money that one needs to be made round too.
Yeah, no one. We just ignored it the whole time, I think.
I think so.
I would say so because he is in the steel.
Fire wraps is the steel.
Yeah, but when he goes round, he's going to be more in it. So we do need to adjust that.
Yeah, all you got is that orange one. You could shoot a bunch of different levels below that orange one.
We don't have a piece of equipment in there.
No.
Not there yet.
Do we change this to round now? There's not even a fan up there. Oh yeah, there is. I see it now.
It's down on the curb. It would need to be lifted up a little bit. Yeah. What I'd say is if you want to change that, you could absolutely change that one as well. What we're going to need to do is I need you to do a save and then do a save as so we can show him what this one was. Because, this one needs to be redone.
Do a save as what?
What kind of ceiling is that in that room? Is it ACT? Pan up. No, just orbit a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's ACT.
Okay. Because they're going to need to put access panels every 24 inches in that thing to clean out that horizontal line. But no one's thought about that one. All right. Go back to your mechanical exhaust, the page sheet one that you did. So you can either go through the sheets, but you're going to find that that's a little bit awkward because they're so sparsely populated. What I would recommend is you just disable the cropping for a minute, and I know it's going to slow the hell down, but just do that.
On this view?
Yep. So what you're going to find is because those are parent view, dependent views, all the tags and dimensions for all the other areas. So you could do all your tagging and dimensioning depending upon how slow and cruddy it is.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be slow and cruddy.
Well, that's where I probably would hide the Revit links, because you don't need the Revit links. All you need is column lines and ductwork. And then I would ask you how cruddy it was. But yeah, this is the nightmare of a large job. But you're going to find that even panning is not as bad as you would think. Just turn them all off, everything. And then you're going to turn them all back on when you're done. We're going to see if that helps you. I'm betting you have electrical loaded, and that's where biggest problems coming from.
Okay.
Now how's your pan?
It's a little slow.
Little slow. You're going
So
after all the green stuff needs to be tagged and dimensioned.
All right.
And see, part of the problem is a lot of this stuff had VAV dimensions in it, and none of it needed VAVs. Yep. We can end on that because that's where it's at.
All right.
All right.
So I got
All
that,
right,
and I
then.
got that 3D view for plumbing, and then I'm good.
No, we really do. I mean, if you want to continue, I'll take you through the rest of the stuff you need to do.
It's up to you. I might be petering out here.
Well, I would say that the one thing that we could get you to is if you went to your plumbing drawing.
Uh-huh.
Man,
So-
Anna's having fun.
What if I told you? What if I told you Misty just made up a sheet recently, and I wanted you to go find it?
And I just made a new sheet.
Yep, you just made a new
I was
sheet.
actually curious about that.
Yeah. That'd be
I
nice.
think that there is a way to do that with schedules.
Yeah, there absolutely is. Yep, do it. Go do a
So I can
schedule.
say schedules,
Do a sheet list.
sheet list.
Yep, sheet number.
Sheet number, sheet issue date, because it issues the date that you create the sheet.
Got to hit the green arrow. You can't hit OK.
Oh,
And then
probably-
sort by the sheet date.
probably put those in the wrong order, but
Doesn't matter.
yeah, I drank a little too much.
I'm
So
starting to get like a little headache.
Not a headache. I'm slow.
Not a headache here, but it feels weird. I don't drink a lot.
Sort by the other. It's either at the bottom of the list or sort by the other direction. I don't.
But
care.
how do I do that?
Under the sort? Ascending makes a
Descending.
descending. Now it's at the top of the list.
No.
Yeah, you're not at the top of the list. Zoom up.
No.
Did you download the plumbing file?
Not today.
No, she did that a week and a half ago.
Yeah, I downloaded it.
Okay, see.
Oh, is it because of the 23? What's at the top of the list?
23. I don't see anything in the 24s. Anything.
Yeah, there was at the bottom of the list.
7/11/24 right there.
Yeah, that PCL 2.3 or .233. Can you go to that?
So then I just need to go this way and do it.
Yep. I don't think there's a show in model or open view. Nope, I don't see one up there. Now you talk about slow. Did you get it?
I'm sorry. I was seeing if there was a right click, take me to the sheet kind of thing that they added. I didn't know.
No, it would have been up across the top toolbars, and it would have been something like I know when it's a different kind of schedule, you can say highlight in model, but I don't
Yeah.
think they have it for views.
Not a yawn. Did you guys see me? Hopefully you don't see me yawn, right?
I saw you almost eat your microphone.
No, I can't see video of anyone else.
Because
No.
that's what beer does to me. No.
So what do you think? Do you think we should run these things with a format more like this, where we're on there?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't.
I think it's important to see that there's a person out there. I mean,
All right, well, we can run it that way.
I don't like to show
To me,
myself.
it's always
but
weird
I like
because
it when, go ahead.
To me, it's always weird because it's just the side of our faces or whatever. But I guess
It
she's
is.
right. It does show that there's people there.
Well,
this took a while to
And
open.
we're
didn't it?
normal. We're failing people that make mistakes all the time. So I mean, we do stupid things, right?
now this is gonna, Eric. This is gonna give you flashbacks to the terrible times. See, first of all,
Why is this the file? Is this the view that's so slow?
yeah, remember it's a lot of information.
The whole view. Okay,
The
gotcha.
whole for domestic gas casino floor. They are requesting
Okay,
the same thing for sanitary and roof leaders.
dimensioned.
No. This is just for them. More than likely, Cody wants to run a highlighter over them and highlight them either when they're installed.
Make sure each line is picked up. Make sure each line is picked up.
No, I'm just telling you that he requested roof leaders, and then he requested sanitary and vents.
All right.
And I'd actually like you to try to do the sanitary and vents either before or during our session on Sunday. Because remember, the session on Sunday is really the one that's supposed to be like me going into an architectural office and doing the training.
Sanitary and vents is going to show underground and above ceiling.
Well,
correct?
that's where we're gonna try to figure out how could we do that? How could we resolve that problem? Because truthfully, what you want is just the sanitary below slab,
And just the vent above.
and just the vent above. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yep.
And there's two techniques for doing that. My thought process is I'd be interested in the technique you take, and then we try another technique, and you can show me what you actually did, and we can see if there's a better way to do it. But as I've already said, there is no real good way. Now, you see how that says domestic gas casino floor? Go look at the domestic and gas casino floor. Go look at the Starbucks. This is going to actually sort the end in a very ironic fashion. What are you missing? Yes. How does
the underground portion?
The underground portion.
You just need to go put either a blue, a
plane
region there, so you can see those pipes that are under the ground.
You are correct, Misty. But the problem with that I have is then that means we have to go over here to this circle and do it.
Yep.
Because this circle here is fed by underground. I can't remember. It's from these guys.
Yep, that's exactly
and
right.
So at what point? Because I know there's probably two more.
No, that was it.
No, there's another one. There's another one down by Ramsey.
No,
this guy here goes underground.
Yeah, to get into that bar area, into the low.
Oh, well, they might have changed it.
No, that one doesn't anymore. Anymore. That got changed.
Okay. But yeah, that's the problem with plan region is you got to make sure you pick them all up, and that's Brian's very right. That's something that we can't leave that off.
Well, and you know what I would even recommend? Where you draw that plan region, draw a filled region that's transparent with a hatch on it and a little note that says this share area is underground.
Gotcha.
And see, then they really can't possibly miss the thing.
Because it's double highlighted. Okay.
Now we handled it twice.
All right.
All right.
Yep. Well, then I'll probably just work a couple hours tomorrow morning. I'm going out with the grandson tomorrow at noon.
Yeah.
Great, have a
Yeah.
good
Well, like I
time.
said, I mean, it's probably an hour or two that you could actually draw while I'm doing that boring stuff with Ginger and Tyler on Sunday.
Yep, that works.
All right.
I got lots of stuff to do too. So, you know.
Yeah. Quit bragging.
Welcome to the point cloud.
Well, we went 2 hours. Thank you very much. I definitely caught a buzz. I never did get to joke with Ginger. I don't know if she was drinking with us or not. I appreciate it. Just a little?
Just a little.
Good. I thank all of you guys for this week. I think it has worked out good. I think we need to refine a little bit, but I'm really happy with how this is turning out. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you
Sounds
guys.
You guys have a good evening.
You too.
Bye,
Later,
guys.
man.